is your greatest fear? Are you afraid of the dark? Because you can see what's around you? Do you fear heights, such as tall buildings or mountains? Have you ever met a stranger, and because you didn't know them? These are just a few fears that can cause anxiety and insecurity. Good morning, blessings to everyone, and wishing you all a bright and beautiful morning. May we fill our hearts with gratitude to the Lord for allowing us to look for opportunities to spread kindness and embrace the day ahead without fear. Have a blessed day filled with hope and joy while we trust in God's promises and face our fears together and say, I will fear no more. Fears are natural feelings that we experience when we believe something might hurt us or when we are unsure about what's going to happen. It's fine to be afraid sometimes, for it can help us to be alert and careful. But we don't have to let fear control us. When we are afraid, we should remind ourselves that God is always with us. In the Bible, we are told many times to fear not, because God promises to protect and guide us. One comforting verse in Isaiah 41, verse 10. Isaiah 41, verse 10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. It simply indicates that when fear comes, we can pray and trust that God is in control, even when things seem uncertain. He gives us strength, courage, and peace when we rely on Him. What happens when we fear? You know, Dr. Judith Lewis Herman, a renowned psychiatrist known for her work on trauma and fear. She emphasizes that psychological impact of fear, especially in relation to trauma and recovery. Here's a quote from her. She said, "Trauma is a fact of life. It does not, however, have to be a life sentence. In simpler terms, sometimes bad things happen that can make us feel really scared. But even though these things happen, they don't have to make us unhappy forever. We can heal and feel better with time, support, and love." My dear kids, always remember that Jesus cares about everything, no matter how small it is. There's nothing too difficult for Him to help with. Just call His name and He will be there to comfort you right away. For example, if you are afraid of the dark, for you cannot see what's around you, Jesus can give you company and comfort. If you are scared of being in an elevated area, Jesus is there to hold your hand and will never allow you to fall. If you have fear of a stranger, Jesus is there to protect you from feeling alone, will help you find courage and remind you that you are loved. There's a famous story of a young man who, despite his bravery, often showed fear in many circumstances. One day, when God asked him to save the Israelites, he hid in a wine press instead of following God's command to escape from his enemies. Whenever God sent him on a mission, he would always ask for God for signs. You see, first, he asked God to burn up a food offering he gave to an angel. Then he asked God to make morning dew land only on a piece of wall he had put out. And it happened. Finally, just to be sure, he laid out the wall again and asked God for the opposite to happen. Gideon was afraid, but when he finally put his trust in God and obeyed, the Israelites were freed from oppression. There will always be moments in life when we are worried to give ourselves over to God. But the truth is, we can trust Him with our tomorrows. This is Auntie Marie Fe, wishing you a wonderful day to all the kids around the world.
Good morning, my beautiful kids of hope. Are you all feeling blessed today? That's great. Before we start, let's give a big thank you to Auntie Marife for her wonderful Bible talk on today's theme, I Will Fear No More. It is a great reminder that we don't have to let fear control us because God is always with us, right? So, let's face the day with courage and joy. All right, kids, are you ready for something fun? I'm sure you are. It's time to get excited because it's Bible quiz time! Let's jump into our quiz today. Remember, this quiz is all about trusting God and learning to face our fears with faith. So, put on your thinking caps and let's get started. For question number 1, in Isaiah 41 verse 10, what does God promise us when we are afraid? Again, in Isaiah 41 verse 10, what does God promise us when we are afraid? Letter A, joy and laughter. Joy and laughter. Letter B, strength and health. Strength and health. Letter C, friends and family. Friends and family. Letter D, riches and treasures. Riches and treasures. Let's keep going. Here's the next question. Who was the brave man who was afraid but asked God for signs before leading the Israelites? Again, who was the brave man who was afraid but asked God for signs before leading the Israelites? Letter A, David. Letter A, David. Letter B, Samson. Letter B, Samson. Letter C, Gideon. Letter C, Gideon. And letter D, Moses. And now for the final question. What is one thing Dr. Judith Lewis Herman teaches us about fear? Again, what is one thing Dr. Judith Lewis Herman teaches us about fear? Letter A, fear lasts forever. Fear lasts forever. Letter B, trauma is a life sentence. Trauma is a life sentence. And letter C, bad things can happen, but we can heal. Again, bad things can happen, but we can heal. And letter D, fear is impossible to overcome. Fear is impossible to overcome. Great job, everyone! I love seeing how much excited you are all to learn about God and how He helps us when we are afraid. Now, let's reveal the answers. For question number 1, in Isaiah 41 verse 10, what does God promise us when we are afraid? And the correct answer is letter B, strength and help. For question number 2, who was the brave man who was afraid but asked God for signs before leading the Israelites? And the answer is letter C, Gideon. And for question number 3, what is one thing Dr. Judith Lewis Herman teaches us about fear? And the answer is letter C, bad things can happen, but we can heal. Wow, you all did amazing. You see, we can face our fears knowing that God is always by our side. Just like Gideon trusted in God's plan, and I am so proud of each one of you for participating today. Remember, kids, no matter what you're afraid of, you can always call on Jesus and He will help you. Keep being brave and trusting in Him, okay? Thank you for joining me today, and I can't wait to see you next time for another fun and exciting Bible quiz. Until then, keep smiling, keep praying, and always remember, I will fear no more. Bye, kids! See you next time!